Is she cheating? 10 signs you need to see. Look, relationships are tough, no doubt about it. They require trust, commitment, and honesty. But what happens when that trust is broken? When that gut feeling starts whispering that something's just not right? You start questioning everything. Is she being distant because she's stressed? Or is there something more going on? That's what we're talking about today. We're diving deep into the psychology of infidelity, uncovering the signs she might be cheating, even if she's trying to hide it. We're talking about those subtle shifts in behavior, those little things she might think you don't notice. But trust me, those little things, they add up to a big ol' red flag. Now, before we jump into the thick of it, do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that bell so you don't miss out on any future relationship advice. Let's get started. Red flag number 1, changes in behavior. This isn't about one bad day or a moment of forgetfulness. We're talking about consistent, noticeable changes in her usual demeanor. Is she suddenly distant, withdrawn, like she's miles away even when she's sitting right next to you? Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe she's suddenly overly affectionate, showering you with attention and gifts, almost like she's trying to overcompensate for something. Think about it. When someone's feeling guilty, they often try to cover it up. And sometimes the best way to do that is to go overboard with the niceties. It's like throwing a bucket of paint on a stain and hoping nobody notices what's underneath. But you know what? A keen eye can always spot those inconsistencies. Pay attention to how she interacts with you, how she responds to your touch, how present she is in your conversations. Those seemingly small changes can speak volumes about the state of your relationship. Remember, you know her better than anyone. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Red flag number 2, sudden interest in appearance. Now, there's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to look her best, but when someone who's been perfectly content in sweats and a t-shirt suddenly transforms into a glamorous goddess overnight, it's natural to wonder why. Is she hitting the gym more often? Obsessed with getting in shape? Has her entire wardrobe been revamped with trendy new outfits? Is she spending hours in the bathroom meticulously applying makeup and styling her hair? These sudden changes in appearance could be her way of trying to impress someone new, someone who's caught her eye. It's about reigniting that spark, but not with you. And that, my friend, is a bitter pill to swallow. Keep an eye out for any drastic shifts in her style, any sudden obsessions with her looks. It might just be a coincidence, or it could be a sign that her attention is focused elsewhere. Red flag number 3, secretive phone habits. Remember the days when you could leave your phones lying around without a second thought? Well, those days might be over if she's got something to hide. Does she jump every time you enter the room while she's texting? These are classic signs of someone who's being evasive. Or maybe she's become an expert at deleting messages. When secrecy becomes the norm, it's time to start asking some tough questions. Chapter 4. Red flag number 4, unexplained absences. Look, everyone needs a little space now and then, but we're not talking about a quick trip to the grocery store or an evening out with friends. We're talking about those long stretches of time where she's completely unaccounted for, where her stories just don't add up. Maybe she starts working late more often, claiming those extra hours at the office are absolutely crucial. Or perhaps she's discovered a newfound love for solo errands, spending hours running tasks that used to take minutes. And let's not forget about those business trips that seem to pop up out of nowhere, with vague details and convenient excuses for why you can't tag along. The truth is, when someone's cheating, they need time and space to nurture that other relationship. They need opportunities to meet up, to connect, to build a world that doesn't include you. And those unexplained absences, those are the building blocks of that secret world. Chapter 5. Red flag number 5, emotional distance. You know that feeling when you're sitting right next to someone, but it's like they're a million miles away? That emotional disconnect, that lack of intimacy, that's a major red flag. Remember those late night talks, those deep conversations that used to leave you feeling connected and understood? Well, If those have dwindled down to awkward silences and superficial chit-chat, it's time to take notice. When someone's emotionally invested in someone else, they tend to withdraw from their primary partner. They stop sharing their thoughts and feelings, their dreams and fears. The emotional intimacy that once bound you together starts to fade, replaced by a chasm of indifference. You become more like roommates, going through the motions of a relationship, but the spark, the connection, it's just gone. And that, my friend, is a lonely place to be. Chapter 6. Red flag number 6. Increase defensiveness. Now, we all get a little defensive sometimes. It's natural to want to protect ourselves when we feel attacked. But when simple, straightforward questions are met with hostility and evasion, it's a sign that something's not right. Ask her about her day, and she snaps back, accusing you of interrogating her. Inquire about a new friend, and she clams up, deflecting and changing the subject. It's like walking on eggshells, never knowing what might set her off. This heightened defensiveness is often a way of masking guilt and shame. She knows deep down that her actions are wrong, and she'll do whatever it takes to avoid facing those uncomfortable truths. So she lashes out, building walls of anger and resentment to keep you at arm's length. Chapter 7. Red flag number 7. Newfound independence. Look, independence is a beautiful thing. We all need our own passions, our own interests, our own time to recharge and reconnect with ourselves. But when someone goes from being joined at the hip to suddenly craving an abundance of me time, it's worth paying attention to. Maybe she joins a new gym and insists on going solo, even though you used to love working out together. Perhaps she picks up a new hobby, something she's always wanted to try, but now she's adamant about pursuing it alone. And those weekend getaways with her girlfriends? They're becoming more frequent, and she's suspiciously vague about the details. This sudden need for independence, for carving out a separate life, could be her way of creating distance, of establishing boundaries that don't include you. She's testing the waters of freedom, exploring what it would be like to live without the constraints of your relationship. Physical intimacy is a vital part of any romantic relationship. It's about connection, passion, and expressing love in the most primal way. So, when there's a sudden and drastic shift in your sex life, it's a red flag that can't be ignored. Maybe she's completely lost interest, pushing you away every time you try to initiate intimacy. Or perhaps it's the opposite. Maybe she's suddenly insatiable, demanding more sex than ever before, almost like she's trying to prove something. These changes in sexual behavior could be her way of coping with the guilt and confusion of infidelity. She might be withdrawing physically because she feels emotionally disconnected from you, or she might be overcompensating, trying to convince herself and you that everything's fine. Let's face it, friends usually know what's up. They're the keepers of secrets, the confidants, the ones who see the cracks in the facade before anyone else. So, if you notice her friends acting strangely around you, it's time to pay attention. Maybe they're suddenly distant, avoiding eye contact and offering awkward silences instead of their usual warmth. Or perhaps they're overly friendly, showering you with compliments and going out of their way to be nice, almost like they're trying to overcompensate for something. The truth is, they might be struggling with their own loyalties. They might know about her infidelity and feel torn between supporting their friend and acknowledging the pain she's causing you. Their awkwardness, their shifting allegiances, are all telltale signs that something's not right in the state of Denmark. Look, I'm not a mind reader, and I don't have all the answers, but there's one thing I've learned over the years: never underestimate the power of your own intuition. That gut feeling, that inner voice whispering that something's off, it's usually right. Maybe you can't put your finger on it, maybe there's no concrete evidence, but deep down, you just know something's not right. You feel a shift in the energy, a disconnect in your connection, a growing sense of unease that you just can't shake. Don't ignore that feeling. Don't brush it aside or try to rationalize it away. Your intuition is your most valuable asset in matters of the heart. It's your internal alarm system, warning you when something's amiss. Look, I know this is tough stuff. Dealing with the possibility of infidelity is never easy, but burying your head in the sand won't make the problem go away. It's time to face those fears, to acknowledge those red flags, and to have those tough conversations. Remember, knowledge is power. By understanding the signs of infidelity, you're empowering yourself to protect your heart and your well-being. Don't let fear or denial keep you trapped in a relationship that's no longer serving you. And if you found this video helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more relationship advice. Remember, you deserve a love that's honest, respectful, and true. Don't settle for anything less.